What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 14 of the Listen Whilst You Step podcast. Today, we have the man who broke my Instagram with his transformation on. We've got Andy Pitcher, and I hate to admit it, but this guy has got the most likes out of any post I've ever done on my Insta, and it's not even me. And I shouldn't be bitter, but I think I'm a little bit. So welcome on, buddy. How are you?
Hey mate, yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I'm all good. I mean, in the middle of a little mini lockdown, aren't we? So, yeah, it's not been ideal, especially for all the fitness stuff. But yeah, cracking on.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. We're all kind of making do with it. Fingers crossed. Like we're recording this and it's the 19th of December. Fingers crossed come January 4th, everything will kind of be back to normal. Have you found the lockdown personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been too bad. I think there's definitely ways around it, isn't there? In terms of like mental health and physical health as well. Home workouts. I see like PTs like you just smashing content everywhere on home workouts. So there's always stuff you can do. And the good thing is the weather's not been too bad. You can still get out. Still get your steps. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it's good. It's still fine.
It is what it is. It just comes back to the whole thing about being a bit more proactive than reactive. If you want to sit in your ass and do absolutely nothing now, then you literally can, and you can use it as, I don't want to use the word excuse, but it's easy to let it get in your way and let it be a barrier, whereas you can just use it as a bump in the road, be proactive, and there's a million different ways. And I genuinely think, I don't potentially think you would have got the results you got without lockdown.
Nah, that was actually, yeah. I was thinking the same thing this morning. I was doing my steps this morning.
Yeah.
What are we on? So whatever. But yeah, I was thinking, because ultimately it comes down to making choices, and you've got to make the choice about how you're going to split your time, whether that's socially, work, gym, or like the other exercise and stuff. And when you take out a large part of that social element for because of the lockdown, it makes that process so much easier. You can focus so much more time on the games.
Yeah, too right. Just going straight to the boulders.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Had them since I was about 12.
And they're still growing. But anyways, the whole reason that I wanted to do this podcast is because I think it'd be absolutely awesome for people looking to start their transformation, their fitness journey in 2021, to kind of take some inspiration and understand that it's not an easy ride. But rather than me just saying that, actually have someone who they may be able to relate to a little bit more. Like, yes, I've been through my own transformation, but everyone looks at me and they're like, oh, you're a PT, it's easy for you. You've got all the time, you've got a gym at your house, where you haven't had those things. You work in finance, you do a 9 to 5, you play rugby on the side and things like that. And I think people will be able to relate to it a lot better. So I want to just kind of discuss kind of your transformation, where we were before, the kind of pivotal moments that you had throughout it. So let's just kind of paint a little bit of a picture for people. Where were you kind of before you started kind of the online coaching process with us? What were you doing in terms of like professional life? Do you play in sports? And what were you doing in terms of your training, nutrition?
Yeah, so when I signed up, I was actually in London. So I was doing stints of work in London and wasn't really doing anything at that time. In fact, I was doing like nothing. Like the reason I was in London was to work, and that was really what I was focused on then, and not paying any attention to nutrition and stuff. But even that was kind of like the tipping point for me in terms of my my decision making on the fitness program. But if we wind it back before then, played rugby, which consisted of training twice a week and playing on a Saturday, and that was it really in terms of my my physical activity. I was kind of gymming, but kind of not. I'd bounced in and out of a couple of programs, but hadn't really focused on it too much. It was one of those things that I did if I had the time, and then nutrition was just like an absolute no. I just wasn't paying any attention to that whatsoever. Didn't really understand what I was doing. Like, obviously everyone's like, yeah, protein when we were younger and stuff, but you know, it was like, all right, have a protein shake after the gym. It wasn't really any more sophisticated than that. Like that was basically it, you know. And then you just assume that, you know, like, you're gonna get the rest of it through like your chicken at dinner or beef at dinner, whatever. But yeah, that, you know, no real focus on it is how I would put it. And then yeah, just being in London, I was like, well, I've just spent the last 3 months doing absolutely nothing except walk 5 minutes from where I was staying in London to where I was working, and that was literally it. That was my like, physical exercise for the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, this just can't carry on into the new year. Saw your Instagram post at the time. I think it was one of those, you know, I want fit 5 people who want to change
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, X, Y, and Z for 2020. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that's me. Sign me up. So yeah, that was how I started.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thing is as well, I think at that time you just kind of come off the back of some pretty bad injuries and things like that from rugby. Where were you mentally before we signed up? I know it's not an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one, really. I guess I just sort of been in denial. Just, you know, it was something that I deliberately didn't think about because I didn't want to.
I was exactly the same, man. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, I'm just not going to I'm not going to spend any time thinking about it, what kind of shape I'm in, you know, because yeah, you know, you got to start asking yourself some tough questions, and you just don't want to. So yeah, that and yeah, it's not really until you look back now and be like, oh yeah, I really should have done something about that, maybe a bit sooner.
But you did the hardest thing, mate. You asked for help. Now look at the fucking position you are.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The hard thing is, and it's horrible to say, sometimes it takes people to get to that low point to go, oh shit, for them to decide they want to make a change. But sometimes I think it is a blessing in disguise because it gives you that oh shit moment. I know I've got some clients, and I've had people in the past where they just keep going. You can see their shape getting worse and worse. You can see their confidence getting worse and worse, but they just never hit that oh shit moment, whether that be a psychological point, whether that be a physical health. I can use my old man as an example. About 4 years ago, my old man went to the doctors and got diagnosed with high blood pressure. And that was his oh shit moment. And ever since then, the man has worked out 3, 4, 5 days a week, every single week. His nutrition isn't perfect, but he nails his steps. He moves a lot. He's mindful of nutrition. I remember like when I was a bit younger, when I was like 17, 18, every day he'd come home from work and maybe have 1 or 2 beers. And we always used to say, like, he's now, I don't drink in the week. I was like, you do. But it took that oh shit moment for him to go, right, this needs to change. And fucking fair play to him. He did the exact same thing. And that's the same thing that you've done. And now look where you've come out the other side. And like, as a mate and your coach as well, I can see the transition that you've made in the last 6, 9, 12 months. And it's fucking awesome to see, mate. And you should be so fucking proud of yourself. And I know all the people who are around you think exactly the same thing, man. But when we kind of look at your before the transformation, what were the biggest things that you felt got in the way from you getting the results that you wanted? What were the struggles you faced?
Before I started the program. Yeah. Sorry?
What was holding you back? Was it you specifically in terms of your nutrition, direction in terms of your training?
I think the biggest one was lack of understanding, for sure. You know, I didn't have any idea about what I was putting into my body, or, you know, really understanding like progression in terms of weights, and you know, generally just kind of fitness and stuff. So that's definitely the key one. I think perhaps when you play sport, you think you understand because you play sport and you know you've been doing that since you're a kid, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm not someone that doesn't understand sport and athletes. So But then actually when you go through the program and you start picking up all these things, you're like, oh wow, like I really had no idea. You know, the classic one is like calories. I was having a discussion with one of my mates, and he was like, you know, he was asking me about, what do you track, like everything you eat? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because it's actually surprising what is in something that you might not think. The example that we had specifically was in like a wrap, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, I only have like this chicken and something wrap, and he put it in the calorie count, and we're just talking about the actual wrap, like the bread wrap, and he was like,
tortilla.
yeah, and he was like, oh, there's like 300-400 calories just in this like tortilla thing, and I was like, there you go. See, like unless you track these things, it's not impossible, but your job is so much harder. And it's that, you know, it's that lack of, just circling back, it's that lack of understanding that
education.
Yeah, it's the key point.
Yeah, I always say to people, there's two reasons that you've got to the position that you have in terms of like maybe your physique, and that results in other things. It's number one, it's your education around your nutrition. So you don't actually know what's in things. Touching like a similar story to that, I had a friend who messaged me and said, right, Si, I really want to lose some weight, and sent me a photo of his breakfast. And he had scrambled eggs and avocado on toast. Like, great. Very, very healthy, as seen in quote things, but it's also probably got like 800-900 calories on his plate. But if you don't track and you can't actually look at something on your plate and go, right, I understand the nutritional value of this. Yes, you think it's very healthy, but if you're only on 2,000 calories, you've nearly eaten half your calories for breakfast. Okay. So it's about having that education so that you can make choices that, yes, are one, healthy, because obviously health is the ultimate goal. But on the other side of the spectrum, also a low calorie density food, so that you can make the right decisions that fit into this middle area where, yes, it's healthy, and then two, it helps you to progress towards your goals. And the second reason is your decision making. It's even if you know what's in food, you're making the wrong decisions. You're not being held accountable. You're not consistent, which I think is something that we struggled with potentially a little bit at the start.
Yeah.
But then we worked and we found some kind of strategies that really, really worked for you. And I think now it's kind of mindless. You don't really think about everything. So we'll get into some of those strategies in a second, but obviously, Bud, everybody who listens to this probably knows, or if they don't know, what results did you get?
So I started at about 93 kilos, coming off the back of that London trip, which is probably it's the heaviest I've ever been, except for maybe off the back of a 2-week trip to America when I was in like year 12. I mean, 2 weeks in America, all you eat, like multiple trips to the Cheesecake Factory, you know, it's never going to end well. Yeah. No, anyway, so came back from London about 93 kegs, hadn't gymmed or like done any real physical exercise in 3-4 months, and it was a bit of a mess. And then, you know, so coming to middle of August, and I was down. So the lowest I hit was like 78. And then did the photo shoot middle of August, and I think I was like 79, 80. So, you know, that's over 10 kilos. Mate, had abs for the first time.
You're getting on to more towards like 13, 14 kilos. Like,
yeah,
it's a bit more than 10 kilos, mate. That's nearly 2.5 stone. That's like over 30 pounds. Like,
yeah,
give yourself some credit, bro. It's fucking massive.
Yeah,
trying to be too humble here.
Yeah, that's it,
mate. It's a hard thing to talk about like yourself like that. But honestly, mate, like you absolutely fucking killed it. And watching that photo shoot, I think we had some conversations when we done physique photos, and you were like, yeah, it's coming off. Like, I feel a lot better, feel leaner, but I've still got this little bit here. I've still got that. I think I could be leaner. I think you were comparing yourself to other people as well. So I know there was a few of us doing the photo shoot at the time, and you were potentially looking at other places and comparing yourself to that, but you were forgetting how far you'd come in your own journey. And watching your face when Lucien, the photographer, took that first photo and he turned around the camera and showed you.
That's it, yeah.
I remember seeing him just fucking massive smile. Went, jeez.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true, eh? Like, you know, it's never going to be perfect, and you know, we're all human at the end of the day. Like, you know, it's never going to be perfect, and it's, you know, talking about, you know, people's experiences and stuff, and trying to get people who might be in similar mindsets. You know, it's not about being perfect, really.
Perfection doesn't exist, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say to people, you know, you definitely don't need to be perfect, but you know, just being like as consistent as possible with the eating, with the exercise, you know, and it, you know, when we say exercise, we're not necessarily talking about smashing out like a 30-minute home workout, or, you know, getting on the bike for like half an hour. You know, simple stuff like the steps, you know, the neat stuff, you know, just making that decision in the morning to do your 5,000-6,000 steps or whatever, and then and just making those decisions. You know, obviously, you know, you're not going to get it every day, but it, you know, as long as you're getting it right as much as you possibly can, happy days. And then yeah, you can get the results will come.
Yeah, consistency over perfection, mate. Like I said, that perfection just really doesn't fucking exist. And I think the second you stop striving for perfection, that's when you go backwards, because you stop challenging yourself. You're exactly the same as me. The reason that you've got to where you are in like your professional career as well and everything is because you're always your growth mindset. You're like, what's next? What can I do? How can I challenge myself? And I think if everyone has that growth mindset and is constantly striving to be that 1% better, like it sounds super, super cliche, 1% better every day for a year, that's 365% better. Fucking bang on that, mate. And 1% doesn't seem so fucking overwhelming. If you go, right, I want to lose, for you example, I want to lose 13, 14 kilos, you go, holy shit. We broke that down. We give you small little incremental things that you could do day in, day out, and just chip away. But I know we definitely hit some kind of roadblocks along the way. There was definitely some bumps in the road, but that's what it is. Like we said, it's about that consistency. But through your journey, could you say maybe 1, 2, or 3 pivotal points where you kind of had a bit of a realization about things? Maybe you were like, oh, that's game changing. That's helped me get to where I am now.
Yeah. I think the big one for me was actually the steps. I think when like and you if we look back through my you know, like my weight loss through the charts and stuff, I think you'll see when I first signed up for like that first 2-3 months, I wasn't really doing like the stuff outside of, you know, doing the calories, but we were probably still on quite high calories then. And doing the weight sessions and training, and that was it. You know, that was all I was doing. But then went on holiday, came back, and then started hitting the steps really like properly, like actually nailing the 10,000 steps a day. And it was actually amazing how much of a difference that made. Like once I started doing that, combining with, you know, with counting the calories and the gym and stuff, you know, I think we then hit a phase where, you know, I was just flying in terms of weight loss. It just started falling off just because I was making that one decision to hit my step target every day. So that was probably my biggest one.
On that, for people who do struggle to get their steps in, what's your advice?
Make it the first thing you do in the day. My funnily enough, my sister said this to me the other week. She was like, I don't understand how you hit 10,000 steps a day. Like, I just couldn't do it. And you know, when I said, well, actually, you know, it takes me 45 minutes first thing in the morning to do, you know, 2/3, 3/4 of that target, you know, she was shocked. And, you know, I don't think people realize like how quickly you can actually just get to those steps. And if you can just nail that first thing in the morning, you know, you're almost done. You'll get the rest throughout the day without even thinking about it. So yeah, that would be my main point. Just try and get it done first thing in the day. Nail 2/3 of that target, and it's surprising how easy it is.
Yeah, big time. On that, like I know I put a post up. I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but like let's just say the average person, let's just make the like numbers really, really easy. Let's say you're awake for 12 hours. Most people are awake for a hell of a lot more than 12 hours. 10,000 steps over 12 hours. That's less than 1,000 steps an hour. Like to do 1,000 steps literally takes less than 10 minutes of walking. So you're struggling to move for less than 10 minutes out of every hour. Like you break it down like that, it just makes people go, oh shit. And like you said, if you can get up and it'd be the first thing you do. Like in today's society, everyone who starts their day with lose. They snooze their alarm, lose. They snooze their alarm so they miss breakfast, lose. They sit in the traffic because they're late, lose. And then they get pissed off. Then they're late to work, their boss has a go at them, lose. They're late for their first client call, lose. It's just lose. If you can get that first win, like I bet you can guarantee, bar some mornings where it's maybe black and fucking pissing down with rain or something.
Yeah.
Just sets your day up for success, man. It gives you that first win, and then winning's a habit. If you can win, the rest of your day will win as well. Anything else that you found really stood out for you that as a little bit of like a turning point? I can think of one. I'll put it out there. I think the refeed days and weekly calorie targets were game changing for you. Yeah,
true. Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. I think trying to stay on consistently low, not low, but reduced calorie targets was a tough one. Particularly when you get
deep into it.
Yeah, like you can feel the effects of that, and having that refeed day is just that little lift you need, and just to reset your head, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. So I feel I'm back feeling really good today, and then it sets you up for the next
4 or 5
days.
Yeah, 100%. So just for people who don't know what refeed days is, with Pitch, I think we started out at the very beginning, like 2,700, 2,800 calories, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Like that. We milked out whatever fat loss we could there. And eventually, I think the lowest we went was 1,800.
We may have dipped into 1,800, but realistically, that wasn't for very long. It's like 2 was what we went sustained.
Yeah, that was the majority. Maybe literally had like 1 or 2 weeks down there just before the shoot. But by the way, that's like still actually, if you don't have really good food, that's actually still a reasonable amount of food. Like I get people come to me, they're like a 90-kilo guy, and they're like, yeah, I'm dieting on fucking 1,200 calories. I'm like, mate, what are you doing to yourself? There's this problem in this industry at the moment. It's like, I managed to do this little and get these results. It's like, well done, you've made it 10 times harder for yourself than you actually needed to. People should be bragging about, I managed to get results and it was this easy. I only had to do this. Be proud of that. Don't be proud of having to fucking dig yourself into a hole and bury yourself and rebound and you're about to square one. But yeah, we had those lower days. And then all we did was 1 day at maintenance. So your maintenance was around the 3,000 calorie mark ish, 2,800 to 3,000. So all we did was we quote unquote dieted. We were in our calorie deficit for 5 or 6 days out of the week, and we gave you 2 days at maintenance. That gave you that degree of flexibility on the weekends to go and have a few drinks, go and have a meal out with friends, so that it didn't completely ruin your social life as well.
Because that's it.
Bloke. And like at the end of the day, you're doing this to improve your life. If you become a fucking robot and you only eat fish and a rice cake, it's not improving your life in my eyes.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And that it's an important point, isn't it? Like, we're not, you're not here to destroy people socially in the pursuit of the 12 pack and whatever else. Like, for 90% of people, well, for 99% of people, that isn't a goal. Yes. So why put yourself on something that is built for people going for that goal? We all want to continue with the social life, etc. and stuff. So work that in. We've got mates who work their programs around what they're doing socially, and they've made some great gains as well. So
exactly, it's just learning how to make the sensible decisions in those situations that are still going to help you. And I think that the biggest, if I was to give you one more point, it would be your steps, it would be your refeed days. And I think the absolute game changer from my perspective when I was coaching you was that in the past, if you'd had a bad Friday, it was a bad Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had a day where your goal was 3,000-ish and you'd gone 3,500, Didn't matter. You binned it. Sunday you were back on, and you made sure you got a few extra steps in. It was that right. Okay, that's done. Right, get on with it. It wasn't dwell on it. Fuck it. I fucked one day. Right, I'll start on Monday. It's the getting back on track, getting back on track, getting back on track, getting back on track. And if you always do that, you've limited like your damage so much. Okay. How do you reckon this transformation and kind of this journey, because it's definitely been a journey to say the least, we're probably getting on towards just over a year now of kind of working together. How's it helped you in other areas of your life?
I think, you know, just being in better shape, you know, it's, you know, you feel like you have so much more energy, like it just energizes you for everything else you're doing, whether that's, you know, in the work environment or, you know, socially, like you just feel so much better about all of that. Like you wake up, you're feeling good about the day. And, you know, it probably circles back to that confidence thing. You know, you've just got much more inner confidence, and you just put that to use throughout the day. So yeah, that's kind of the main one really. Just
look good, feel good, perform good.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Cool. I say to people, it's interesting because I just signed up with my own coach, Joe Parrish, and it was kind of saying that people think that let's take your like professional life, your career. People think you're doing really, really fucking well and you're giving that everything. But if you're only performing at 60% of your capability and you're going all in on your business or your professional career or whatever, you think you're going all in. But if you're only performing to 60% of your best, you can't be performing at 100% of your best in your business, your career, whatever. So if you can look after your body, you can look after your brain, that's going to come up. And if you're performing at 80%, 90%, imagine how that would help all other areas as well. So I think if you can look after body, brain, like Joe's whole thing is body, brain, business balance. If you can look after those, I think it's fucking good. And I'm not going to steal that off him. That was Joe Parrish, by the way. I think it's fucking awesome. And it's such a clever thing that if you can look after yourself and make sure you're performing at your best, that's just going to carry across absolutely everywhere. And I don't think it's until people realize how well they are performing that you can realize how badly you were performing.
No, I'd agree with that. And I think the other thing as well is that I think, you know, it gives you something else to focus on rather than just focusing on work. Say, like I think if you spend all of your time focusing on one thing, you know, burnout becomes like a serious issue. Like, you know, particularly in the finance industry, it's talked about a lot, but you know, the industry itself doesn't do a huge amount to help you with that. So you know, it's kind of on you, and having that, you know, okay, I'm gonna focus on me for a bit. You know, that kind of like mental switch just helps to, you know, take your mind off work for, you know, a few hours a day.
Yeah, it's that look after you can look after other people. If you forget to look after you and you're not performing at like your best, then you're not going to be able to help other people to your best. Okay. So I do genuinely think that if you can look after yourself, you'll be on your best performance. Watch it change, not just like your physique, but all areas of your life, relationships, your confidence, your social life, your professional life, literally all kinds of areas. So my last couple of questions, and one's going to be, if you hadn't signed up about a year ago, where do you think you'd be right now?
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, probably somewhere that I don't want to be, I would say. You know, I mean, easy thing to say, but you know, I would have carried on the path that I'd always been on, and actually, you know, with a lockdown thrown into that.
That's exactly what I would say.
Yeah,
we've had.
It could have been, you know, an absolute disaster, really, that took a long time to fix. I mean, we all saw them, you know, all the memes and stuff going around about, you know, just how, you know, all people did during lockdown was eating stuff, and that probably would have been me if I hadn't have signed up.
Because your
Yeah,
training wouldn't have been there either. Rugby wouldn't have
yeah,
been there either.
that's what I mean. Yeah, you know, I literally just would have been sat around doing basically nothing. So yeah, would have been bad. I was talking before about how I'd never really been above 93. I reckon I'd have been above 93.
Especially if we were starting at 92, 93, and going through this year.
Yeah.
I think that's just something to like, mate, that's all credit to you and a hell of a lot of our other clients and a lot of people out there. They saw this as an opportunity. And like I said, like, mate, I don't know if you would have got these results if it wasn't for the lockdown. Like, it's been a blessing in some ways. Obviously, it's been absolutely horrible. But fair play to you for looking at it as an opportunity. And mate, fucking look where we are now. Let's go. Then last two. What was different this time? You tried to get in shape before. You tried gymming before. What was the difference this time that meant you got the results that you wanted?
I think the main difference was that, you know, this time it was all encompassing, from the weight program to the food in particular, and then all the other kind of like what I will brand like the lifestyle stuff as well, and you know, that's the steps and or just keeping active and stuff, you know, that general kind of lifestyle thing. In the past, my programs or my decision has been focused around one of those things and not very well. So it's been like, either it's been, I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm going to keep gymming, but then there hasn't been the nutrition element, and so it's not really worked. Or it's been, I'm just going to really focus on what I'm eating. But, you know, on the eating side, it was, well, I've got no one to help me and I don't understand. And so actually what I ended up doing was kind of yo-yoing, where I would restrict my food so much to a point where it wasn't sustainable. And it was almost like shearing off the calories, going from whatever I was eating, like, let's say it was like 3 to like 12, 15.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that. Like, all you're end up going to do is bouncing back and going straight back to the 3, 2, if not more, because you've been starving yourself for X number of weeks, and then you're right back where you started. So,
and it doesn't help mentally doing that.
Exactly. No, you're tired and stuff, and it just impacts you in other ways. And so that was the main difference, is that it's really like being on this program it's just really brought it all together. And then the other side of it is obviously the knowledge gaining side, like through the weekly check-ins and stuff, like chat stuff through and bring the education element that hasn't really been there previously.
Yeah, it's just been kind of stabbing in the dark. Just on that, mate, an interesting question, just a bit of a side tangent here. What would you say if you were to say a percentage or a ratio in terms of fat loss results it goes between training and nutrition?
Oh, that is tough. I'm gonna say nutrition is probably heavily weighted, like maybe like 2/3 nutrition.
I'd completely agree with you, man. I'd say 70-80% if your goals are fat loss. Obviously this is slightly unique to the person and depends where your strength lies and exactly what your goals are, but generally, like, I wish you could do it, and we've both given it a fucking good go, but you cannot out train a poor diet. It does not matter how hard you train, because there's only so much training you can do, so only so much you can recover from. If your diet shit, you just can't outdo it. Vice versa, if your nutrition's on point and your training is pretty suboptimal, you can still get some pretty fucking class results. Okay, so guys, stop trying to out train a fucking poor diet. All right, and then last thing, quick fire. I want you to give me 3 points that people can use who are starting their fitness journeys in 2021 that you would tell yourself starting when you started back in 2019.
Do your steps, number one. Count everything. Count your calories. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself on the calories. We've all been there, looking at, you know, that Milky Way fun size and being like, that don't count, but it does. Don't cheat yourself on that. And then my third one. What is my third one? Ooh, what would I tell myself at the end of 2020? Consistency. Be as consistent as possible. Don't have to be perfect, but be as consistent as possible. That would be my third one.
Trust the process, baby. Trust the process.
Yeah.
I think becoming process driven is one of the biggest and the most important things. Like we said, looking at that end goal becomes super overwhelming. If you can become process driven and just learn to love the process, like one, it becomes a habit, it becomes easy, and two, you just see the wins. Like you actually enjoy the process rather than everything being a daily grind. Like now you look forward to going and trying and getting your deadlift in and hitting a PB. Now you look forward to being able to go out and get your steps in because you can do that with people. You can go and, like, we're lucky we live in Jersey. It's fucking beautiful. You can go and see things and stuff like that. So become process driven. So honestly, mate, I know there weren't some easy questions on there, and just to kind of clear it out for guys, I literally did not tell Pitch one of those questions before we started it because I wanted his honest reaction. So honestly, bud, thank you very, very much for coming on, and hopefully people can take a lot away from this. And again, bud, you should be so fucking proud of yourself. You've absolutely crushed it. Have an awesome year, guys, and make sure you please share this on your stories. Tag me and Pitcher. We'd really appreciate it, and catch you later.